14. Famous figures and billionaires who live unbelievably frugally. Behind the shimmering facade of luxury yachts, sprawling mansions, and private jets lies a shocking financial reality that completely defies public expectation. While we are conditioned to believe that immense wealth guarantees a lifestyle of unchecked excess, a select group of the world's most powerful billionaires and iconic celebrities secretly live like everyday working-class citizens. The blinding glamour associated with immense net worths is often entirely absent behind their closed doors. Today, we are tearing down the billionaire myth to reveal the documented, unbelievable financial realities of ultra-rich individuals who refuse to let their bank accounts change their extreme penny-pinching habits. From reusing single-serving tea bags and driving rusty, decades-old cars to packing daily brown bag lunches, these are historically verified facts and bank statement realities that will challenge everything you thought you knew about money. Are you ready to discover the shocking true habits of the elite? Make sure to subscribe to the archive to follow along, uncover more hidden historical secrets, and support our journey into the untold stories of the wealthy. The truth about money is far more grounded than any luxury magazine cover. Warren Buffett. Widely celebrated as the Oracle of Omaha and historically recognized as one of the most successful investors on the planet, Warren Buffett's lifestyle is a breathtaking contradiction to his staggering multi-billion-dollar net worth. Instead of residing in a highly secured, modern mega mansion, he continues to live in the exact same relatively modest stucco house in Omaha, Nebraska that he originally purchased back in 1958 for a mere $31,500. His daily dietary habits are equally astonishing and deeply ingrained in a strict, unpretentious routine. Every single morning, on his 5-minute drive to the Berkshire Hathaway office, he stops at a local McDonald's drive-thru. Remarkably, his breakfast order is entirely dictated by the opening numbers of the stock market. If the market is down, he strictly limits himself to a $2.61 sausage patties meal rather than splurging on the $3.17 bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. Furthermore, Buffett absolutely despises the concept of depreciating assets, particularly luxury vehicles. For years, he famously drove a heavily hail-damaged Cadillac simply because he didn't see the logical financial sense in replacing a machine that still effectively transported him from point A to point B. He eschews bespoke designer suits, prefers utilizing traditional flip phones until absolutely forced to upgrade, and has publicly pledged to give away 99% of his vast fortune to philanthropic causes. His unparalleled financial genius is profoundly anchored in an unshakable philosophy. Making money is fundamentally about long-term compounding value, whereas recklessly spending it is a guaranteed pathway to losing your intrinsic leverage. Amancio Ortega. As the visionary founder of the globally dominant Inditex fashion empire, which includes the ubiquitous Zara brand, Amancio Ortega has frequently held the coveted title of the richest man in Europe. Yet, the man who revolutionized modern fast fashion and shaped global clothing trends completely rejects the opulent lifestyle his industry actively promotes. Ortega passionately guards his extreme privacy, actively avoiding paparazzi and high society galas in favor of an astonishingly quiet, routine-driven existence in his coastal hometown of La Coruña, Spain. Every single day, he visits the exact same local coffee shop, greeting familiar faces and embracing the simplicity of a normal working citizen. When he arrives at the massive Inditex headquarters, he does not isolate himself in a lavish executive dining suite. Instead, he stands in line to eat his lunch alongside his employees in the bustling company cafeteria. Most ironically, for a titan who commands a clothing empire that dictates global seasonal trends, Ortega's personal wardrobe is aggressively monotonous and entirely devoid of his own merchandise. He adheres strictly to a daily uniform consisting of a simple blue blazer, a white button-down shirt, and gray trousers, none of which are manufactured by Zara. This deliberate detachment from material display proves that his primary motivation was never about achieving personal luxury, but rather mastering the complex mechanics of global retail supply chains. He finds immense comfort in predictability, completely ignoring the extravagant temptations that typically consume individuals possessing even a fraction of his extraordinary wealth. Carlos Slim. For several years, Mexican telecom magnate Carlos Slim officially outranked everyone on Earth to become the absolute richest individual globally, commanding an empire that influenced virtually every sector of Mexico's economy. However, his personal domestic life drastically contrasts with his corporate supremacy. Slim has resided in the exact same 6-bedroom house in the Lomas de Chapultepec neighborhood of Mexico City for over 4 decades, steadfastly refusing to construct a sprawling, ostentatious compound to showcase his financial dominance. He actively despises the isolating nature of immense wealth, famously choosing to drive his own aging Mercedes-Benz through the notoriously chaotic and dangerous traffic of Mexico City, rather than employing a fleet of heavily armored vehicles and private chauffeurs. When it comes to personal fashion, Slim avoids high-end boutique shopping sprees, preferring to purchase his clothing directly off the racks at everyday retail stores, perfectly content with functional garments over luxury labels. His business philosophy actively mirrors his personal frugality. He famously implements strict cost-cutting measures across all his companies, vehemently believing that corporations should maintain lean, austere operations during prosperous times to easily survive inevitable economic downturns. He views wealth strictly as an operational tool for national investment and job creation rather than a personal fund for lavish indulgence. By intentionally keeping his private lifestyle remarkably grounded and avoiding the traditional trappings of a global oligarch, Slim channels his intense focus purely into expanding his business footprint, proving that true financial power does not require a flashy external presentation. Ingvar Kamprad. The legendary founder of IKEA built a revolutionary, multi-billion-dollar furniture empire based entirely on the concept of flat-packed affordability, and he applied that exact same rigorous penny-pinching philosophy to every single aspect of his personal life. Despite his status as one of the wealthiest men in modern history, Kamprad famously drove a battered 1993 Volvo 240 for over 2 decades, only reluctantly giving up the vehicle when authorities deemed it physically unsafe for the road. His travel habits were equally legendary within corporate circles. He strictly forbade executives from flying first class, leading by example by exclusively booking economy tickets and frequently utilizing local public bus systems to reach business meetings. Kamprad's dedication to saving money bordered on an obsessive compulsion. He openly admitted to purchasing his personal clothing predominantly at local flea markets to secure the absolute lowest prices, and he routinely grabbed handfuls of free salt and pepper packets from cafeteria restaurants to stock his own kitchen. When getting a haircut, he deliberately timed his salon visits to coincide with trips to developing countries where the service was drastically cheaper. He firmly believed that to understand the everyday consumer and successfully sell them affordable goods, he fundamentally had to live exactly like them. His extreme frugality became the absolute core of IKEA's corporate culture, demonstrating that an unwavering, almost radical commitment to cost efficiency was the ultimate secret behind creating one of the most successful and enduring retail brands in human history. Chuck Feeney. Known affectionately throughout the philanthropic world as the billionaire who wasn't, Chuck Feeney achieved a level of financial selflessness that remains historically unparalleled. As the highly successful co-founder of the duty-free shoppers group, Feeney amassed a staggering $8 billion fortune in total secrecy. However, instead of hoarding this unimaginable wealth, he executed a covert, decades-long mission to systematically give away every single penny while he was still alive. Feeney lived an existence so startlingly frugal it baffled his wealthy peers. He absolutely refused to purchase a personal automobile, never owned a luxury mansion, and intentionally lived out of a series of modest, rented apartments shared with his wife. He notoriously wore a simple $10 Casio watch, firmly stating that it told the exact same time as a diamond-encrusted Rolex. During international business and philanthropic trips, he stubbornly flew coach, often carrying vital, multi-million-dollar contractual documents in a plain plastic grocery bag rather than a designer leather briefcase. His foundational belief was that immense wealth brings an immense obligation to actively improve the human condition, not to artificially elevate one's own comfort. By operating his massive charitable foundation under strict anonymity for decades, he effectively funded global universities, advanced medical research facilities, and critical human rights initiatives without ever seeking public credit. Feeney successfully reached his ultimate goal before his death, intentionally dying functionally broke, but leaving behind a world permanently altered by his radically frugal lifestyle and unprecedented generosity. Azim Premji, frequently referred to as the Tsar of the Indian IT industry, Azim Premji transformed Wipro into a massive global technology powerhouse, cementing his position as one of India's most prominent billionaires. Yet his personal aversion to spending money is the stuff of absolute corporate legend. Premji operates with an ingrained, micro-level focus on eliminating unnecessary waste. Even at the absolute height of his corporate success, he famously drove a humble, second-hand Ford Escort for years, only upgrading to a used Toyota Corolla when the Ford completely broke down. He strictly avoided hiring private chauffeurs or utilizing luxury airport transfers, frequently opting to take heavily crowded public auto rickshaws directly from the airport to his home after international flights. Inside the Wipro headquarters, Premji personally monitored employee resource consumption with astonishing intensity, reportedly keeping track of the exact number of toilet paper rolls used in the executive washrooms and actively reminding staff members to turn off the lights when leaving a room. He strictly enforced a corporate policy demanding that employees travel economy class and share hotel rooms during business trips. Despite holding billions in personal assets, he views extravagant spending as an insulting moral failure in a country grappling with widespread poverty. In 2019, he dramatically underscored his true priorities by irrevocably donating an astonishing $7.5 billion of his wealth to his education-focused charitable foundation, cementing his legacy as a man who ruthlessly hoarded pennies purely so he could eventually give away billions. Keanu Reeves. While not a traditional corporate billionaire, Keanu Reeves stands out as one of Hollywood's most financially lucrative and culturally impactful leading men, yet he actively rejects every toxic stereotype associated with celebrity wealth. Following the staggering, historic box office triumph of the Matrix franchise, Reeves walked away with a reported $114 million payout, making him one of the highest-paid actors in cinematic history. However, instead of purchasing an isolated mega-estate or a fleet of hypercars, he continued to live out of suitcases in modest hotels for years, perfectly content with an almost nomadic, unattached lifestyle. He is routinely photographed sitting alone on crowded public subway trains, willingly giving up his seat to fellow passengers, completely blending in with the working-class citizens of New York and Los Angeles. His approach to his massive earnings is remarkably generous and entirely devoid of ego. He famously funneled a significant percentage of his back-end profits directly back to the special effects teams and costume designers, believing they were the true architects of the film's success. Furthermore, after his sister was diagnosed with leukemia, Reeves quietly established a massive private cancer foundation, actively funding crucial children's hospitals without ever attaching his famous name to the charity for positive public relations. He wears scuffed boots, tapes together his old favorite jackets, and navigates his immense global fame with a deeply grounded, empathetic humility that proves money cannot corrupt a genuinely decent human spirit. Jim Walton. As the youngest son of Walmart founder Sam Walton, Jim Walton inherited a prominent seat atop the largest, most aggressive retail dynasty in American history, instantly securing his place among the top 10 wealthiest individuals on the planet. Despite possessing a personal net worth that frequently exceeds $70 billion, Walton deliberately mirrors his father's legendary, fiercely unpretentious Midwestern sensibilities. He vehemently rejects the flashy coastal lifestyle favored by modern tech billionaires, choosing instead to remain deeply rooted in the quiet, unassuming town of Bentonville, Arkansas. For years, his primary mode of personal transportation was a heavily rusted, 15-year-old Dodge Dakota pickup truck, perfectly encapsulating his total disregard for status symbols. He fundamentally believes that ostentatious displays of wealth actively alienate the core working-class customer base that Walmart fundamentally relies upon. When managing the family's massive Arvest Bank operations, he intentionally works out of an incredibly plain, unadorned brick building, ensuring that absolutely zero corporate capital is wasted on luxurious interior design or unnecessary executive perks. He actively avoids the media spotlight, completely ignoring high-profile interviews and glamorous social circuits. This extreme, generational dedication to modesty ensures that the Walton family remains sharply focused on aggressive business expansion and meticulous wealth preservation, utilizing their staggering fortune as a silent tool for massive economic leverage rather than an avenue for personal celebrity. Charlie Ergen. The fiercely competitive founder and chairman of Dish Network, Charlie Ergen, built a satellite television empire by aggressively undercutting his massive corporate rivals, a strategy perfectly aligned with his legendary, almost militant personal frugality. Growing up during the Great Depression deeply influenced his mother, who subsequently passed down an intense, uncompromising respect for the value of a single dollar to her son. Ergen famously refuses to partake in the lavish executive dining culture that defines modern media moguls. Instead, he methodically packs his own brown bag lunch every single day before heading to the office, typically consisting of a simple, homemade sandwich and a bottle of Gatorade. His extreme cost-cutting measures heavily permeate his company's operational structure. Ergen famously mandated that all corporate executives, regardless of their high-ranking status, strictly fly economy class on all business trips. Even more astonishingly, he frequently forces highly paid senior managers to physically share double-bed hotel rooms while traveling on company time to minimize overall corporate expenses. He utilizes his own personal wealth merely as a scoreboard for his corporate victories rather than a fund for personal gratification. By maintaining a ruthlessly lean lifestyle and cultivating a remarkably austere corporate environment, Ergen ensures that his company remains financially agile and fiercely aggressive, continuously proving that adopting a startup-level survival mentality is highly effective even when you possess billions of dollars in personal capital. Jay Leno. While globally recognized for his massive, museum-quality collection of vintage and incredibly rare automobiles, former television host Jay Leno's day-to-day approach to personal finance is rooted in an astonishingly conservative, self-imposed austerity. Throughout his entire, highly lucrative two-decade tenure hosting The Tonight Show, Leno completely refused to spend a single penny of his massive, multi-million-dollar NBC network salary. Instead, he systematically deposited his television earnings directly into untouched savings accounts, intentionally living exclusively off the secondary income generated from his relentless, exhausting schedule of live stand-up comedy club performances. This dual-income psychological strategy stemmed directly from his parents, who constantly warned him that show business was intensely fickle and that he could suddenly face financial ruin at any given moment. Leno never utilized traditional financial advisors or risky stock market investments, preferring to hold his assets strictly in tangible cash and appreciating mechanical vehicles. He avoids expensive designer clothing, opting for his trademark head-to-toe denim outfits, and completely shuns the luxurious, high-society party lifestyle typical of elite Hollywood celebrities. By maintaining this strict, deeply ingrained blue-collar work ethic and utilizing his grueling comedy tours to fund his daily existence, Leno successfully insulated himself entirely from the volatile nature of the entertainment industry, ensuring an impregnable financial fortress behind his jovial public persona. David Cheriton. Often referred to as Professor Billionaire, David Cheriton is a highly esteemed Stanford University computer science professor who achieved unimaginable wealth through an early, incredibly strategic $100,000 investment in a nascent search engine project that would eventually become Google. Despite this astronomical financial windfall, Cheriton actively despises the traditional billionaire lifestyle, viewing immense wealth as a potential psychological distraction from meaningful intellectual work. He continues to live in the exact same relatively modest Palo Alto home he originally purchased decades ago, completely rejecting the urge to upgrade to a massive Silicon Valley mega mansion. His daily habits remain shockingly frugal. He famously cuts his own hair to avoid wasting money and time at professional salons, strictly reuses his single-serving tea bags multiple times to extract maximum value, and routinely requests to take home half-eaten meals from restaurants in doggy bags to consume the next day. For years following his massive Google payout, he refused to purchase a new vehicle, actively choosing to drive a clunky 1986 Volkswagen camper van. Cheriton firmly believes that a highly luxurious, pampered lifestyle actively degrades a person's intellectual edge and problem-solving capabilities. He continues to teach classes, aggressively invest in cutting-edge tech startups, and mentor young engineers, proving that true satisfaction is derived from continuous intellectual engagement and technological innovation, rather than mindless, lavish consumption. John Caudwell. British telecom tycoon John Caudwell achieved massive financial success by aggressively building Phones for You into a retail empire, ultimately selling the business for billions. Yet, his approach to managing his staggering personal wealth is defined by an intense, almost combative dedication to everyday frugality. Caudwell absolutely refuses to fall into the traps of traditional elite vanity. He notoriously cuts his own hair using a cheap pair of clippers, viewing professional barber visits as a completely illogical waste of both precious time and financial resources. Instead of dropping thousands of pounds on bespoke Savile Row tailored suits, he proudly purchases his everyday clothing directly off the racks at accessible, mid-tier retail stores like Marks & Spencer, seeking pure functionality over brand prestige. When navigating the busy streets of London or his local towns, he frequently bypasses luxury chauffeured vehicles in favor of riding a standard bicycle, actively prioritizing physical fitness and environmental efficiency over displaying his high net worth status. His intense financial discipline originates from a deeply ingrained belief that wealth should not fundamentally alter a person's practical, ground-level relationship with value. While he undeniably donates massive sums to various charitable causes and pediatric health initiatives, his day-to-day personal operations remain tightly controlled, demonstrating that maintaining an aggressive, hyper-practical mindset is exactly what prevents self-made billionaires from losing touch with reality. Tyra Banks. Supermodel, television producer, and highly successful business mogul Tyra Banks built a formidable multi-million-dollar entertainment empire through relentless hard work. Yet she openly identifies as intensely, aggressively frugal. Raised by a single mother who actively instilled extreme financial discipline, Banks never allowed her massive celebrity status to override her inherent penny-pinching instincts. Even at the absolute peak of her high-fashion modeling career, while staying in the world's most luxurious accommodations, she notoriously hoarded the complimentary miniature soaps, shampoos, and lotions provided by the hotels, packing them away to use at home so she wouldn't have to purchase her own toiletries. When managing the production operations for her massive television hit America's Next Top Model, she heavily scrutinized the company budget, famously making the executive decision to move the entire production staff into a significantly cheaper, less glamorous office space, simply to drastically reduce unnecessary overhead costs. She admits to deeply analyzing every single personal purchase, completely avoiding the impulsive, high-end shopping sprees that routinely bankrupt young celebrities. Banks approaches her vast wealth purely as a defensive security blanket rather than an offensive tool for lavish living, actively utilizing her platform to educate young women on the critical importance of strict financial management and long-term asset protection in an industry notorious for rapid financial exploitation. Ed Sheeran. Despite selling hundreds of millions of records, completely selling out massive global stadium tours, and cementing his status as one of the absolute highest-earning musical artists of his generation, Ed Sheeran actively maintains a shockingly tight grip on his daily finances. Terrified of the notorious celebrity trap of rapid financial ruin, Sheeran implemented a drastically strict financial system immediately after his career exploded. He intentionally utilizes a single, closely monitored bank account and famously restricts himself to a highly structured monthly allowance, reportedly around just $1,000, which he uses to cover casual expenses like local taxi rides and grocery shopping. He completely shuns the flashy, diamond-encrusted jewelry and luxury designer wardrobes heavily favored by his peers in the music industry, firmly opting to perform in basic, unbranded t-shirts and comfortable jeans. He famously refused to upgrade his lifestyle purely for social status, choosing to invest his capital heavily into long-term real estate holdings, rather than rapidly depreciating supercars or private jets. Sheeran recognizes that the music industry is inherently volatile, and his extreme financial discipline serves as a psychological anchor, ensuring that his creative decisions are never dictated by a desperate need to fund a lavish, unsustainable lifestyle. By intentionally living far below his staggering means, he guarantees his artistic freedom and long-term security,